Well, indeed, good afternoon. Welcome. KTN Business Today starts right now. The name is Peter Wakabe, and this is your 1 hour of news, views, and analysis from the world of business from right here in Kenya, across the region, indeed right across the world. Well, today, a special edition for you, bringing you different stories that will seek to crystallize what exactly is happening in various parts of the economy and how it affects you and your money. Now, today the question we're asking is just how critical are business systems when it comes to running an organization. To speak into that conversation, Jeff Njaumwe, Entrepreneurship 101. He is a business consultant, mentorship coach, and trainer. He is here to speak into that conversation and talk to us about what systems you need to get in place to ensure that your business keeps growing and making you money. Also on this show, the fact that we will be speaking into the conversation around the caravan plane, the Cessna 208 that has gone down somewhere around the Aberdares, speaking to what exactly that kind of plane is and what to expect going forward. We will be live on the ground with details from that story. Also here today, the fact that the International Flower Expo is underway here in Nairobi, the first time ever that buyers from America are in town. We will be seeking to go live to that event. Well, as usual, we want to start off with a quick look at the markets to bring you up to speed on what the currencies and securities and other aspects of the markets are saying today. Starting off with the Kenya shilling, dollar, pound, and euro currency pairs. The dollar pegged at 100.90, 100 and 1.10, buying and selling levels respectively. They, of course, gaining slightly, while the pound is pegged at 134.78, 135.08, buying and selling, while the euro is currently trading at 117.71, buying and 117.97 selling. Well, of course, these rates will differ slightly depending on which commercial entity you do walk into. These are provided as indicators by the Central Bank of Kenya. Well, what exactly is the conversation around the NSE, the securities trade currently? These are the statistics from the last trading session. Turnover. This is a total of the shares bought and sold, 641 million shillings worth. Shares traded, some 17 million shares there trading hands. The NSE 20 share index losing ground slightly to 3,308.88 points, while bond turnover was pegged at 2.45 billion shillings. Well, let's look at the various counters that have been driving this trade. Most active stocks of the day, as usual, Safaricom, KCB, Equity Bank, and Centum. Safaricom moving forward 14.89 million shares, KCB trading 2.61 million shares, Equity Bank 1.33 million shares changing hands, and Centum moving volumes of some 1.04 million shares during that trading session. Well, what are the bulls and bears of that trading session? The winning stocks of the day, these are the bulls: Flame Tree Group, Kengen, Mumias Sugar, and Uchumi. Now, Flame Tree was up 10% there at the limit of its day trade to 4 shillings and 40 cents. Kengen trending upwards 9.85% to 7 shillings and 25 cents. Mumias up 7.14% to 75 cents. While Uchumi is up 6.25% to 1 shilling and 70 cents. Let's look now at the, counters that have been losing ground and trended downwards. Kakuzi, Liberty Kenya, BOC, and National Bank. These are the losing stocks of the day. Kakuzi down 9.60% to 320 shillings flat. Liberty Kenya shedding 8.66% to 12 shillings 65 cents, while BOC is down 5.56% on the day to 85 shillings flat, while National Bank of Kenya is down 4.35% to 6 shillings and 60 cents. Well, those are the statistics that are coming out of the various markets. Let's then look at the stories that are driving that trading conversation. And the biggest story of the day is, of course, the missing plane that left Kitale yesterday and, well, still hasn't been found after having departed for Nairobi. Now, the Cessna 208 Caravan is an American-made single-engined turboprop fixed tricycle landing gear which shuttle regional airliner and utility aircraft. It is built by a company called Cessna, of course, from where it gets its name. And to give you some additional details, the plane carries about 9 passengers with a single pilot, although with some modification, it can seat up to some 14 passengers. Well, that's an example that you can see right there. Now, later editions of the plane were extended by several meters and can carry 2 pilots and up to 14 passengers. The aircraft is also used in different iterations for cargo operations. The prototype first flew on December 9 of 1982. Now, the production model was certified by the Federal Aviation Administration in the U.S. in October 1984. It is also known as the regional trailblazer and the Cessna Caravan because it is known for its rugged utility and flexibility. In the Kenyan case, the Cessna 208 Caravan aircraft registration number 5 YCAC was operated by East Africa Safari Air Express, or SAX, and had a capacity of some 12 passengers. Well, the plane that, of course, left Kitale yesterday was something that looked like that there. Of course, it had been branded with different colors in the regalia, of course, that FlySax does operate here in Kenya. And we will be going live to the ground when we have additional details. That, of course, is expected within the hour. Now, moving away from that story, but still within the aviation space. Now, Kenya Airways has today introduced 3 non-stop flights from its hub at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, to Cape Town in South Africa. The launch of the non-stop flights to the second most populous urban city in South Africa is in line with the airline's broader strategy to assert its presence and expand connectivity across Africa and open up opportunities for tourism, trade, and investment. The non-stop flights to Cape Town will depart Nairobi every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 3:30 p.m. The flights are in addition to the current 7 weekly indirect flights to Cape Town. 4 of those flights fly via Livingstone in Zambia, departing Nairobi every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Sunday, and 3 weekly flights via the resort town of Victoria Falls that fly on Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. The launch brings to, well, a total of 10 weekly flights to Cape Town from Nairobi. Airways will be flying directly to that country. Well, just to remind you that Kenya Airways is expected also to start flying direct to Mauritius tomorrow, of course, also introducing flights for the first time to that country, and this becoming the 53rd destination overall for the airline. The event is expected to be graced by various officials, including company chair Michael Joseph. Now, moving on, the private sector activity rose in the month of May, but at a slower pace as the recovery in the business activity over the last 5 months continued. The seasonally adjusted Stanbic Bank Purchasing Managers Index fell from April's 27th-month high of 56.4 to 54.4 points in May. Now, despite the softening, the latest readings signaled a sharp improvement in operating conditions as firms raised their output charges at a marked pace that was the strongest in 3 months amidst favorable demand conditions. Now, mirroring the trend for output, new business placed at Kenyan private sector firms rose for the 6th month in quick succession in May. Now, in response to greater output requirements, firms raised their staffing levels during that month. Now, that said, job growth moderated April's 16th month high and was only marginal. Well, we go this time to Mombasa, where confusion has reigned at the port of Mombasa after the High Court reinstated ousted Kenya Ports Authority KPA Managing Director Catherine Muturi-Wairi minutes after it was announced that she would be handing over to the acting boss, Dr. Daniel Manduku. Now, Justice Eric Ogola has issued a temporary order suspending the implementation of Mrs. Wairi's suspension by KPA on May the 30th. It is unclear whether the purported handover will still proceed. It was expected to go on today. Now, in a day of high drama, a separate court listened to a different suit filed by human rights activist Okoitio Mtata, seeking to overturn the ouster of Catherine Muturi-Wairi as Managing Director of the Kenya Ports Authority. The Labour and Industrial Relations Court reserved judgment until tomorrow. And staying with controversy, the controversial upgrading of the Mombasa-Nairobi pipeline, also known as Line 5, is set to be complete by the end of July 2018. Now, this is according to KPC's MD, Joe Sang, who appeared before a Senate Committee of Energy earlier today. Now, Sang said that 48.4 billion shillings tender awarded to Lebanese contractor Zakem International was above board. The MD, however, blamed Zakem, the contractor, Nyara Consultancy, and others for the delay in the project. Now, the Kenya Pipeline Corporation has further dismissed claims of graft in that company.
The first issue was there was a court case that took close to 6 months to resolve. The second issue was the financing. We borrowed 70% of this project, 70% of 48.4, which is 350 million US, and no single bank in this country will actually mobilize those funds. So we had to go out of our way and now talk to as many banks as we can. And we got a syndication of 6 banks who were then able to put together this facility. The third one, there are also delays on the National Construction Levy, NCA. Those are the 3 that actually took, which will say it was on the fault of the employer, which is Kenya Pipeline. There were the delays also attributed to the contractor, and thus we were put in part of our counterclaim. Out of the $189.2 million, which is about 19 billion, what the experts were doing, they were basically sieving through the documentation and hearing defense from both sides. And for them to bring down from 19 billion to 4.4, they factored in our counter. What do you think? The employer's counterclaim. And now the last party is the project consultants. Because of the changing of the design, the defects in the design, which had to be altered, also costed the contractor to delay in the project. So those are the 3 parties. The only case that we have, which ESCC are investigating, is a historical case on what we call the hydrant pit valves.
Now, residents of the Kitui East constituency have launched a drive to collect thousands of signatures to block proposed coal mining, citing dissatisfaction and lack of inclusion in decision-making. Now, the locals, led by area legislator Nimrod Mbai, said that they claim that there is no well-structured land compensation and relocation plans, and that such decisions have been championed by outsiders that are eyeing to benefit from the ancestral black gold.
Kwa mashamba ambayo iko katika block A na block B venye ko iko. Ile ko ingine iko block C na block D. Lakini block A na B ziko hapa kwetu Zombe na Mutitu. Chenye tumekubaliana kutoka leo, block A, block B, Zombe, Mutitu, tutaongea sauti moja.
Well, yesterday we celebrated the World Environment Day, and the focus was on managing plastics right across the globe, with the theme that beating plastic pollution and a call to, well, go green. Rita Tinina now looks at, well, this trend by touring a plastic recycling plant that produces building blocks and roofing tiles.
It is a day like any other at work for Simon Miner, sorting out plastics here in Kariobangi South. The plastics are sourced by youth from dumping sites, estates, shopping malls and even companies and sold to the Continental Renewable Energy Factory. Today, Simon Maina is segregating cooking oil containers, one of the types of plastics.
Kuna type tatu za material, kuna blow, kuna injection na kuna kit. Sasa blow ni kama mitungi, drums hivi. Hiyo inachaguliwa kama iko kando. Alafu kuna injection. Injection kama karai, ndoo, thermos, masahani hivi.
Sorting plastic types is the first major step in the process. Colors also matter in recycling.
Kwanza unakota red, yellow na white. Then kuna blue na green. Blue na inachaguliwa ikiwa kando, alafu tunamalizia na green.
After sorting out types and colors, the plastics are crushed. In seconds, the plastics are turned into this. Tons and tons of already sorted plastics are lying at this Continental Renewable Energy Factory site waiting to be recycled. 100 tons of post-consumer plastics are crushed here every month, the beginning of a process that is not just about turning trash into cash, but also creating employment and cleaning the environment. From the crushing site in Kariobangi South, the plastics end up at another factory along Mombasa Road. Here, the plastics are mixed with low-sulfur river sand. The end product then goes through a screw feed, a heating machine with temperatures of up to 700 degrees centigrade, which melts the plastics into molten resin.
Now that molten resin is what is picked up to be pressed into whatever product that we intend.
The molten resin is put on this automated press machine designed to make driveway slabs.
For now, the machine is programmed that after 2 minutes, it opens up and then you have the plungers pushing up the driveway blocks. Those slabs can carry a weight up to a weight of 22 tons.
A lot of pressure is required to press molten resin into 4 driveway slabs.
The press that is exerting the pressure is 200 tons on 1 square meter.
This machine is designed to make paving slabs. It takes 2.5 minutes to make 1 slab. From your trash, several other construction materials, such as fencing posts, lumber planks, signage posts, and roofing tiles are made.
And now that we've found a way on how to turn that garbage into building material, then the cost of construction should drastically go down, given that this is an opportunity that will enable Africa house themselves using their garbage.
Kenya banned the use of plastic carrier bags in August last year. The results are slowly beginning to be seen, at least at Dr. Agan's factory.
Not so much is generated into the dump sites.
But he argues saving the environment will take much more than imposing a ban.
What I think emphasis should be on setting up segregation centers and recycling centers of this nature at grassroots level.
For every 10 plastic posts produced, 1 tree is saved, a step of its kind in efforts to save and clean the environment. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
Well, of course, the saying goes that though the forest kept shrinking, the trees kept voting for the axe because its handle was made of wood. So that may even start to change because we have alternative materials. Now, moving on, the first batch of trucks ferrying crude oil will arrive in Mombasa tomorrow, Thursday, the 7th of June, 2018, following the successful flag-off of the Early Oil Pilot Scheme, or EOPS, in Lokishar in Turkana County on Sunday by President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, the trucks are expected to roll into the Changamwe depot in the early morning or late afternoon and will be received by a delegation of stakeholders that includes government officials led by the Chief Administrative Secretary for Petroleum and Mining, Engineer John Musonik. Now, Talo Oil Managing Director Martin Mbongo Kenya Petroleum Refineries KPRL acting chairperson Lilian Mahiri and Kenya Petroleum Refineries acting CEO Charles Nguyai are expected to be there, as well as, of course, the Kenya Pipeline MD Joe Sang. Well, of course, good news there for Kenya. Now, the IFC, a member of the World Bank Group, has announced an investment of $10 million in subordinated loans to I&M Bank Rwanda to strengthen the bank's capital base and lend support to small and medium enterprises, which will promote job creation in that country. The investment will focus on the smaller SMEs operating in the tourism, agriculture, trade, and commerce sectors, which are the main drivers of economic growth in Rwanda. Services account for 50.8% of the economy, while agriculture generates about 31.5% of the country's gross domestic product. I&M Bank, the oldest financial institution in Rwanda, is one of the top 3 commercial SME accounts and accounts for about 98% of all business in Rwanda and contributes about 55% of gross GDP. However, 79% of SMEs lack sufficient access to finance, leading to an estimated $1.2 billion financing gap. Now, Kenya is set to complete construction of the Loyangalani-Suswa power transmission line in August this year, marking a turning point for a project that has been rocked with long delays and loss of revenue. Now, Energy Principal Secretary Engineer Joseph Njoroge has alluded to the fact that the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company, KETRACO, was on course together with its partners to deliver the 428-kilometer high-voltage line. The main project contractor, Isolax Limited, had gone to court after the government bailed out on the company for allegedly failing to deliver. It is not clear whether the contractor will be paid charges by the state for pulling out of the project, which is now being handled by a Chinese consortium, NARI.
I think the timelines are realistic. You know, the works that have been done take longest time. All tower foundations have already been done. The challenge with a tower foundation is when you do it, and you know about foundations of houses, you have to give time, 21 days minimum, for it to dry up and to stabilize and to settle down so that it is a firm foundation. All those foundations have been done. The work which is actually left is only bringing up the towers themselves and then stringing. Stringing, for example, is not a time-consuming exercise, because it's more about equipment, using equipment to lay down the wire and stringing it. You may find that a team would be able to do 5 kilometers within a day, because it's really a mechanized operation. The same thing with bringing up the tower. Most of it they use cranes and so on. So I think it is possible, and we are monitoring on a daily basis to ensure that we do not lose out on the time of completion.
Well, of course, the fact of the matter is that Kenyans did start paying in January for power from the Lake Turkana Wind Power Company, even though we're not consuming it yet. And there's still the small matter of some 18,000 manyatas that have been blocking the path of that power line right there in a place called Wamba in Samburu County. Well, we now want to go on a short break, but when we do come back on the other side of the break, we still have a discussion around, well, entrepreneurship. It is Wednesday, so Entrepreneurship 101 is underway right here. And we'll be discussing systems in business, what exactly you need to do to ensure that you have put a system in place that enables your business to flourish. Well, that in just a few minutes. Stay with us here on KTN News. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.